The internet loves a dramatic story, especially when it involves a household name like Amazon. In the age of viral news and social media, rumors can spread like wildfire, capturing the imagination of millions almost overnight. One persistent rumor claimed Amazon was leaving the US over tariffs imposed during the Trump administration. The story quickly gained traction, with countless posts and articles speculating about the company's future and what it might mean for American consumers. The idea of Amazon abandoning its home base sent shockwaves through social media, fueling anxieties about the economy, government policy, and the stability of everyday life. People wondered what would happen to their jobs, their shopping habits, and even the broader tech industry. Amazon is deeply woven into American life. Millions shop there, hundreds of thousands work there, and it anchors the digital economy. Its warehouses, delivery trucks, and cloud services touch nearly every corner of the country. The rumor resonated because it played on fears about economic stability and the power of big corporations. It tapped into concerns about how global events and government decisions can impact our daily lives. But is there any truth to it? Did Amazon really pack up and leave? Or was this just another case of internet exaggeration? To answer that, we need to separate viral fiction from fact and look at how tariffs actually work, and what Amazon's real relationship with the US looks like. It's important to dig deeper than the headlines and understand the bigger picture. The real story isn't about a company fleeing, but about how a global giant navigates the complex world of international trade and domestic policy. Amazon's strategies are shaped by a web of regulations, market forces, and global ambitions. Let's dig into the facts and uncover what's really going on behind the headlines. To really understand the Amazon rumor, we first need to get a handle on what tariffs are and why they matter in global trade. Tariffs are a key part of the conversation whenever you hear about international business, trade wars, or big companies like Amazon making headlines. Simply put, a tariff is a tax that governments place on goods coming into their country from abroad. It's one of the oldest tools in the economic playbook, and it's used by countries all over the world. For example, if a US company imports electronics from China, the government charges a fee at the port. That's the tariff. This fee is added to the cost of the product before it even reaches store shelves. Tariffs are meant to make foreign goods more expensive, which can help protect domestic industries from cheaper overseas competition. They also generate revenue for the government, which can be used for public projects or services. But tariffs aren't just about money. They're also a powerful tool in international negotiations. Countries use them to gain leverage, encourage fair trade, or push for better deals. However, tariffs have a downside. They almost always lead to higher prices for consumers, since companies usually pass the extra costs along to shoppers. For instance, if a tariff is placed on imported clothing, retailers will typically raise their prices to cover the new costs, making everyday items more expensive for everyone. Tariffs can also trigger retaliation. If the US taxes Chinese goods, China might respond by taxing American exports, creating a cycle of escalating trade barriers. This back and forth can quickly spiral into a trade war, disrupting global supply chains, slowing down production, and hurting both businesses and consumers around the world. While tariffs may protect some jobs in certain industries, they often raise costs for everyone, from manufacturers to families shopping for groceries. The real impact of tariffs is complex. They affect prices, jobs, and even the relationships between countries, making global trade a delicate balancing act. That's why understanding tariffs is so important. It helps explain why rumors about companies like Amazon can spread so quickly and why they matter to all of us. Now, let's take a closer look at how all of this played out during the Trump era, when tariffs became a major headline and changed the way many companies did business. Tariffs became headline news during Donald Trump's presidency. The administration argued that unfair trade deals, especially with China, hurt American jobs and created huge trade deficits. In response, the US imposed sweeping tariffs on Chinese goods, everything from steel to electronics. China retaliated with its own tariffs on American exports, especially targeting agriculture. This tit for tat created uncertainty for global businesses, including Amazon, Apple, and Walmart, all of which rely on Chinese manufacturing. Suddenly, importing goods became much more expensive, sometimes by 25%. Companies had to choose, absorb the cost, raise prices, or overhaul their supply chains. The trade war wasn't just politics. It had real consequences for American companies and consumers. For Amazon, it meant navigating a new world of higher costs and tough decisions. But did it mean leaving the US? Let's find out. So, did Amazon actually leave the United States? Absolutely not. Despite rumors and real economic pressures, Amazon never announced or even hinted at leaving its home country. The US is Amazon's largest and most important market, generating the majority of its revenue. Abandoning it would be corporate suicide. Instead, Amazon has expanded its US footprint, building fulfillment centers, offices, and investing billions in infrastructure. The rumor likely spread because it offered a simple answer to a complex issue. In reality, Amazon adapted to the new trade environment, lobbied for better policies, and kept growing at home. The company didn't run away, it doubled down. So, why is Amazon so deeply rooted in the US? Let's take a closer look. Amazon is more than a retailer, it's an American institution. Founded in a garage in 1994, it's now one of the country's largest private employers, with over 1 million US workers. Its warehouses, offices, and delivery stations are spread across nearly every state, fueling local economies. Amazon's logistics network, built over decades, is a massive, immovable investment. Beyond retail, Amazon Web Services powers much of the internet, including US government agencies. This deep integration with American life and infrastructure makes leaving the US unthinkable. Dismantling its US operations would destroy its core advantages and business model. Amazon's success is tied to the American market, workforce, and government partnerships. The idea of a corporate exodus just doesn't add up. But how did tariffs actually affect Amazon's business? Let's break it down. Tariffs didn't drive Amazon out, but they did force the company to adapt in significant ways. The global marketplace is always shifting, and Amazon had to stay nimble to survive and thrive. Many products sold on Amazon are imported from China, so tariffs raised costs for both Amazon and its third-party sellers. Suddenly, everyday items, from electronics to home goods, became more expensive to source and sell. Sometimes Amazon absorbed the extra costs to keep prices competitive, but often, those costs were passed on to consumers. Shoppers noticed higher prices, and some even changed their buying habits or delayed purchases. Small businesses selling on Amazon were hit especially hard, facing thinner margins and tough choices: raise prices, find new suppliers, or risk going under. For many, the pressure was relentless, and some sellers struggled to stay afloat. Diversifying supply chains is expensive and slow, especially for smaller sellers. Shifting production to other countries or negotiating new deals takes time, money, and resources that many small businesses simply don't have. In response, Amazon ramped up lobbying in Washington, pushing for tariff exemptions and trade de-escalation. The company worked behind the scenes, trying to shape policies that would protect its vast ecosystem. The company's real strategy was to adapt, influence policy, and protect its business, not to flee. Amazon's leadership focused on long-term resilience, not short-term panic. Tariffs made business harder, but Amazon's response was strategic and pragmatic. The company doubled down on innovation, efficiency, and advocacy to weather the storm. The impact was real, but not the dramatic exit the rumors suggested. Amazon stayed, adapted, and continued to shape the e-commerce landscape. So, who really felt the pain from tariffs? In the end, it was a ripple effect. Consumers, small businesses, and even Amazon itself all shared the burden in different ways. Ultimately, the cost of tariffs lands on American consumers. Higher import taxes mean higher prices on everyday goods: headphones, kitchen appliances, toys. For low and middle-income families, even small price increases add up, squeezing household budgets. The promise of protecting American jobs often translates into a higher cost of living for everyone. Some manufacturing jobs may have been saved, but many industries faced higher costs, slower growth, or layoffs. Amazon's own workers and third-party sellers felt the pressure too. Rising costs threatened small businesses and created uncertainty. The trade war's impact was complex. Some jobs gained, others lost, and consumers caught in the middle. The real effect wasn't a corporate exit, but a shift in who pays the price. Everyday Americans and small businesses bore the brunt of the policy. So, what's the final score in this tariff game? When the dust settled, the biggest losers weren't corporate giants like Amazon, but American consumers and small businesses. Shoppers paid higher prices, and small businesses faced rising costs and tough choices. Some domestic industries saw short-term gains, but the broader economy suffered from uncertainty and disrupted supply chains. Politically, tariffs made a statement, but the benefits were narrow and came at a high cost. The real lesson? Big companies like Amazon adapt and survive, but the costs trickle down to everyday people. The story isn't about a dramatic corporate exit, It's about how trade wars quietly shift burdens onto families and entrepreneurs. In the end, the front lines of a trade war aren't in boardrooms. They're in shopping carts and small business ledgers. The Amazon rumor was just a symptom of deeper anxieties about the economy and globalization. The truth is far less dramatic, but far more important to understand.